It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, light Forex social trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. 26th of September 2019, 8 a.m. CET. Piotr here, meaning there's a pre-London Open live market coverage only here on Light Forex Global YouTube channel. It's my pleasure to be with you here, guys. End of the month, end of the quarter, approaching very fast. So unusual price action, of course, possible. Let's start with the risk warning, guys, and then we will switch to the charts. Please bear in mind, trading FX on margin, trading crypto carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for investors who can sustain a loss of some or initial investment, so please do not invest the money you cannot afford to lose. So seek education, gain experience before risking real money. However, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Okay, so what is going on overall? Well, let's start a little bit different today. Let's start with oil. We didn't quite close the gap yesterday, right? A little bit of the lower shadow, but I think it's an invitation. So we might see here more downside. Well, I'm going to. There are two ways to try to trade. If you are a bear, and actually I've been looking to sell oil for quite some time, as you know, so I'm going to look for a Tuesday range. I'm going to look for halfway 50% retest of the Monday low, 50% of the Tuesday range as a selling opportunity. But as we discussed yesterday, we cannot rule it out a little bit of the bounce in case of the gap attempt to the gap closing, right? So we have, and we discussed the possibility yesterday about the how to approach this this oil, and to be honest with you, it is still valid for me. So I'm going to watch very carefully once we are going to hit that level. Oops, sorry. Maybe not level. When we are going to hit that zone over here, right? The yellow zone, I'm going to watch the price action, what is going on here. And as discussed yesterday, but this time I would like to see on a little bit higher time frame perspective, because we were preparing yesterday our trading plan based on the it was supposed to be trade news based on the EEA data. So what I would like to see, again, just trying to visualize for you guys on the 15-minute chart this time, not 1 minute, not 5 minutes, but maybe 15 minutes. Of course, it's gonna be dynamic. So, but this type of the action, right? So attempt to break this yellow zone, lower shadow, and positive body, totally positive body with the highest close in this 15-minute chart. So that might be possible long on the oil. But overall, I'm bearish, and yeah, I do expect lower levels, but hopefully we will see one more rally towards 59.60 from the I'm sorry, daily chart perspective. So Oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. Something like this, and then eventually to the downside. So even if we agree that that was the consolidation stop count, so retest to have this over under retested, and then to the downside, right, from the medium term perspective. But let's have a look how this oil is going to play out. It's going to be very, very interesting. So we have this intraday possible long scenario. In case of the short, as I mentioned, Monday low, 50% of the Tuesday range, and that's the latest development on the oil. So that's the Monday low, 57.65 based on my chart, and I'm going to also watch the 50% of this intraday, 50% of that intraday range here. So I'm going to watch in between 57.65, 58.40 from the intraday selling perspective on oil. Very interesting situation on gold, because I do believe some of you see this head and shoulder here, especially that it's right under the huge supply zone based on the weekly chart, the blue zone here. So that's the visible head and shoulders, especially yesterday engulf, based on the price action here. We moved below weekly open. That's also very, very interesting from that perspective. Okay, so let's watch what's going to happen from the intraday chart perspective, because if we are going to break through the neckline, all right, the latest low, we are talking about levels close to 1485, 1480, then yeah, we might trade that head and shoulders, right? But of course we want to be, in case you are a bear and you truly believe that yeah, there is a chance that we are going to see lower levels, but you have to be careful as long as you cannot move the market, guys. Don't forget about it. So then you want to be a little bit earlier. So let's have a look from the intraday chart perspective. Where is some kind of the possible supply, right? And looks like the latest demand, so levels which were supposed to work as a demand, because from here we went higher, that might right above the weekly open, that might be the possible supply right now. And we were discussing live yesterday, and I place the line below that low, that if we are going to break, we might see Niagara Falls. So if any of you took the advantage of that, congratulations. And on the other hand, from the bulls perspective, you know, there might be some kind of the invitation for sellers to try to join the head and shoulders, and if the bulls got enough money and they are gonna be able to step in, meaning that might be the false break failure of this head and shoulders, meaning that market may at least retest the high, and in case of the breakout, we might see this huge supply zone to be taken out, right? So from the long perspective, you have to be patient, and you have to watch carefully in case we are going to retest this 1485, 1480. You have to be very careful, and in case of the huge rejection, right? So first move to the downside with huge rejection. That might be the case for long setup. Good morning, Kainat. I'm good. Thank you very much. What about you? Hopefully everything is all right. So oil and gold, that's how I see the things here. So we can slowly switch to FX. We are going to connect with Michał, our macro guy, within the next few minutes. But let's start because there is a very interesting development going on right now on the cable with this breakdown and close, right? Below important level. So 24 finally been taken out. Now the question is, because it's a first time closed below, we need to hold that level towards the end of the day. So I'm going to watch in case of the retest of Monday low, how we are going to behave around 24.15. all right, that's from the selling perspective. And the next possible target, there are levels close to 22.50, 22.40, and then next towards 22 level. So from intraday perspective, if you remember, of course the core scenario was retest of this high. Unfortunately, looks like they are playing out the swing high based on the weekly chart only. Unfortunately, looks like we might not get the retest of this high. So based on the intraday chart perspective, there is a possibility to move inside that channel over here, right? So there was an aggressive move to the downside yesterday. A little bit of the correction. So let's have a look if we can have something like this, let's say, right? So trying to retest the 2024, or if we can see this type of the rally, that would bring us a little bit higher, right? Now this type of the move, let me do that different way. This type of the move, right, would bring us towards this possible supply. That's also top of the channel. So the things might get might be interesting here, right? So there was a breakthrough, weekly open, consolidation, and move to the downside. So that's where the supply resides most probably, all right? So I'm very interesting if we can retest this levels around 24, maybe a little bit higher towards 24.15, and I'm going to look for the rejection here. From the higher time frame perspective, and if you are a bull, then as I mentioned, 22.60, 22.40 the first zone, and then 22.20, 22 as the second one, the nearest, right? The last one, I think, is this eventually over under and finishing the business in relation to the swing low, which has been created at the very beginning of September, right? So very interesting how we are going to play out this. Finally UK consumers feeling the hit. The sentiment is the lowest for the last 6 years. So looks like Brexit saga finally is taking over. We are talking about the FX, so it's good to check what we have from the option perspective. And talking about the pound, 23, we have 700 25 million. That's yeah, that's unusual for the pound, and we have 650 million around 24.40. So that's quite interesting from the cable perspective. What else we have? We are going to discuss with the next few minutes. We are going to discuss euro dollar and dollar yen. So let's check the options market here. 6 billion 110 euro dollar, and I've been talking about that over the course of the week we have a plenty, right? And if you are going to take into the consideration that it's T+2 is today, if you wanna settle your business on spot, you have to do that today over the course of one of the fix, right? So there is I'm not surprised that we have 110 6 billion in expiration, huge chunk of the money sitting there. What else? We have 109.25 1 billion on euro dollar. So it might be worth to take into the consideration, for example, right now on euro, but I'm going to talk about this but quickly. We might see move down to retest 109.20, doing this option stuff and trying to rise towards the US session ahead of the USGDP towards 110, for example, right? Anyway, and dollar yen, we are trading. I'm going to talk about the dollar yen with Michał, because he has something in relation to the US-Japan Trade Deal, and it looks, to be honest with you, the setup, I know I'm bearish, but looks like it's trying to set up the flag, and maybe we'll see higher levels, especially that 107.90 we have almost 1 billion, 108 we have 1 billion, so plenty of interest a little bit higher from here. So that's how the option market looks like. Don't forget guys, that we are covering USGDP later today. We started 2 p.m. CET, so 30 minutes ahead of the announcement. Things might get interesting here. So you are more than welcome to join me this afternoon for the US GDP. Two words about the Australian dollar. First, from AUDUSD, engulf retest of the weekly open during the Tokyo session. That was the plan, right? But I'm going to monitor this one over the course of European session and eventually later during the day. That might be some kind of the setup to try to go short. And in case of some positive developments from the Brexit side, right? I like what is going on here on the pound Aussie. I like this breakout and retest right now and attempt to try to hold. So I'm going to monitor over the course of the day what is going on here on the pound Aussie dollar. Of course, having in mind and checking euro pound and the cable as well. So we are going to talk about this a little bit more, either if we have a time after my conversation with Michał, or during our afternoon meeting. So there is not a problem at all here. So let me try to connect with Michał right now. Stay with me, please, here. Good morning, Michał. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good. I thought that you would never call.
Well, you know,
So,
plenty of
something
different things
tough.
are going on the chart, so
Yeah.
you know, that's how it works. Anyway, so over to you. Whatever you have for us.
Okay,
Where
maybe
you wanna start?
from JPY
JPY. All
about
right,
the
let's
trade.
have a look. I like it.
Yeah, the trade deal that we were talking about yesterday, the possible trade deal, was signed, but of course with some limitations. The cars were not included in the deal, which they left for later talks. Yeah, of course, we thought that from the chart we saw yesterday that it mostly worked out better for US because the Japanese will buy more agricultural products and to lower the tariffs for those for those products. The next thing which we're talking about, I was thinking that why they do that, and later it was all cleared, but that the Japanese want to lower the already imposed tariffs before 2.5% for the cars and auto parts from Japan, and they want to get rid of that in this new deal. So that is why they wanted to leave it for later and just give some meat to the market right now.
So
Yeah.
let's go through the dollar yen chart. If you remember, guys, I've been talking about that at the beginning of the week. That there is something missing, in my opinion. I might be totally wrong, but something is missing. The bulls got huge chance to retest the levels to the left side, trying to trade this over under, and we are talking about the 109 level, right? But as of now, the top was around 108.50, okay, and then we saw the pullback. But the price action yesterday and day before, with this, now we can call it retest, of course, right? Now we can call it retest here of what we've seen to the left, right? So this latest breakout from that consolidation is still valid. Now, my biggest worry here, because I'm bearish here, but not from current level. I would like to see anyway the close of that gap towards 109. So then the full price action yesterday and day before, the engulf yesterday, the strong close, right? Now, the only worry I have here is Tuesday high and today high. That might be swing high creation, especially that from the intraday chart perspective, we've got this third touch with stop count and rejection, right? So bears may want to take over here, right? Bears may want to take over here, but bulls are going to try to take the advantage of the two things, in my opinion, right? That's the range that's the latest weakness, the range from where we saw the weakness over here, right? So this pullback over the course of the Tokyo session, we were trying to hold this 107.60, okay? The 107.60 is being tested right now, right here. So what I'm gonna to look for, what I'm going to watch is the market behavior around this current level, right? So if I'm going to see on this 15-minute chart, or maybe even on 5-minute chart, either this type of the candle or this type of the candle, and we're talking about the levels here, I'm going to take the advantage of the long side. I'm going to trade long side with the stop below the low of that candle, and we are talking about 107.40. So I'm going to try to trade around 107.60, maybe 55 with the stop around 40. So we are talking about the stop 15-20 pips, and I'm going to target levels related to the option expiration above or around 108, and that's the zone we discussed here, right? So it's 108.15, 108.20. So I'm risking 15.20 to try to grab 60. So from this R perspective, we are safe here, and yeah, if we are going to fail here, right? If I'm wrong here at current level, then the next possible level of demand is this possibility of the creation of inverted head and shoulders. So we are talking about the retest of the Monday low, green dotted line over here, right? So we might see as low as 107.25, for example. Okay. So that's how I see the things here on the dollar JPY. Back to you, Michał.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to just add that yeah, the situation I think is we can say a little bit settled and yeah, a good prognosis for that, because they you know, promised to each other, US and Japan, that they will not impose you know, like on each other higher tariffs on those cars and car parts, which is yeah, we told also yesterday that it's the biggest amount of this trade balance surplus for Japan. Okay, let's go further. We can talk right now maybe about the situation that was very heat still, about this conversation with the Ukrainian president and yesterday's Trump speech, and yeah, as we thought that there was those accusations to Trump were not like, you know, from the space, and yeah, he did ask the Ukrainian president to investigate the companies. Yeah, he did that. But yeah, and also the stocks yeah, fell below. But after we'll go back to this conversation, which was released yesterday. So he kept the promise.
But one thing, it was just based on the notes. It wasn't the transcriptions from the recording. That what was pointed out in all medias, that it wasn't the recording. It was based on the notes.
Yeah, but you know, he didn't you know, yeah, he did say to investigate, but he didn't you know, the second part, he didn't threaten to the Ukrainian president that he will yeah, withdraw any aid to Ukraine. So
the best yesterday, the best was the Ukrainian president comment, right? That he
yeah,
said, I thought that it's gonna be released only one side.
Yes, he is the biggest loser in this situation, I think. Yes, he was he was complaining to Trump for France, for Germany, for Merkel, Macron, and yeah, that they didn't stand aside him and you know, impose those sanctions on Russia. But let's face it, the Germans are buying so much gas from Russia. They are, you know, shaking their pants before they you know, have to act in such situations like sanctions on Russia. But it's a different story, because you know, Russians are buying products from Germany or France or other Western country through companies you know, like in Belarus or Latvia, or yeah. So it's a completely different story, that they you know, that they don't mind that as much as the Western world would like to.
Anyway, the dollar was beat yesterday through the whole day. So let's have a look what we have on the euro dollar. So even this situation with the President Trump didn't stop bulls from buying US dollar. There was a break of the Monday low towards the end of the day. What happened during the Tokyo session? Retest of this Monday low right now and rejection. So going lower to the 1 hour chart is a very interesting situation, because if you remember 5 minutes ago or so, I've mentioned about the option expiration, huge option expiration at 110 above 6 billion, and we have 1 billion and 109.25. Now, as you can see, we did this correction, not quite yet there. So there are two possible scenarios in my opinion, and that's what I'm gonna to focus. The main focus, my main focus is going to be to watch Tokyo high, right? And this, let me make it different way, and this possible supply over here. So my main focus is going to be to try to figure it out, how can I join the party to the downside. So I would like to see attempt to break Tokyo high with rejection, right? Maybe on 1 minute or 5 minute chart it might be like some kind of the intraday double top with the second top a little bit above the first one. This type of the price action, where the target is going to be 109.20 for the half, and the remaining is going to be levels below 109 based on the bottom of the channel from the daily chart. So that's the core scenario I'm gonna look for. From the opposite side, if you are a bull, and you know, we were talking about this option expiration 109.25. So let's place the line at 109.25. It's here, meaning that market may want to try to take the advantage of that low from yesterday, may want to try to hit some more stops without doing any kind of the damage to the upside, and we might see immediate rejection. So you know, I'm not a fan of buying euro dollar here in that setup. But why I'm talking about that? Because we still have euro pound which might be in play. So in case of this type of the price action on a euro dollar, not necessarily I would go with euro dollar, but I would go in that case with euro pound and levels close to 88.45, 88.40. That would be my interest on the pullback here, targeting levels close to 88.55, 65. Those stops over here. So that's how I see the euro. Totally don't wanna trade euro dollar right now to the long side, but using the price action on the euro dollar and trying to translate into euro pound setup. By the way, looks like dollar yen is trying to build something for us from the long side. I'm going to monitor as we discussed a second ago. Michał, anything else would you like to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that he was. We were right yesterday mostly I was right yesterday to buy the Nasdaq. A little, yeah. I was break even once, stopped out at break even, but later then beautiful swing high, and yeah. Some pips in my pocket were left, and yeah,
congrats.
One of the thing, and the other thing that we yeah, and mostly it was because of the Trump reacted after. I think he planned it perfectly, right? He you know, they released those notes from the conversation, and later then he also once again said some stuff about the possibility of a new trade deal with China, right?
But and with China, he was you know, as a joke, he was forced to tweet that twice, because he did it twice yesterday. The first time he did it, it was not enough to push stocks higher. So a few hours later, he did it again, the same stuff, and finally Algo caught that tweet and pushed stocks higher. But overall, when we are talking about the stocks, I'm still, we were talking that the bounce is possible, and I agreed with but overall, from the medium-term perspective, I think it's so heavy. I'm waiting for a little bit higher levels, and we are going to get back into the conversation about the US stocks during our afternoon meeting. Are you going to join us this afternoon for the GDP, US-GDP?
I'm not sure. We will have to discuss it later.
Okay, so I'm going to discuss the US stocks a little bit later today during our afternoon meeting, but overall, from the medium-term perspective, looks heavy for me. Depends what's going to be the monthly close, but that's for the different discussion. I still see the possibility we might have a little bit higher levels. That would confirm the idea about the dollar-yen long position, which looks like it might work very soon. So yeah, that's how I see the things here. Michał, would you like to add something?
No, don't want to
so
stretch
we are good to go. We are ready for the European session. Michał, thank you very much for being with us here. Have a great London session, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay, so I think we ready for the London Open. The closest is the dollar yen is the closest setup. Then depends on what's going to happen first on the euro dollar. Either straight short based on the failure around the Tokyo high and hitting the supply we discussed, or the first move to the downside, failure around 109.20, but in that case, not straight long on the euro dollar, but long via euro pound on the retest of 88.45, 88.40. Monitoring, as I mentioned, I like what is going on the pound Aussie, especially with the expectations about another cut from the RBA, but guys, be careful with buying the rumor, selling the facts, because after post RBA we might see some kind of the spike on the Australian dollar. So yeah, we all said London is going to be open within the next 20 minutes. Good luck, guys. That's it from me. Please join me this afternoon for the US GDP. Some more fireworks are expected. Don't be trapped during the London session, and see you around, guys. Goodbye.
It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, Light Forex Social Trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.